here I am, Robert Reams, this guy that has made so many thousands and thousands of people healthy, people I will never even know. And I'm sitting here in ICU. And so she comes down and she starts to explain what's going on. And she says, look, you have a very rare condition.
Welcome to Hack to Health, where we share hacks to help you live younger, longer. I'm Joe Steele, and today we're diving into the chaos of wellness hype that's got so many feeling overwhelmed about shopping, cooking, or getting moving without falling for diet scams. I'm with Robert Reams, Dr. Phil Primetime head trainer and author of Anti-Diet, The Paradigm Has Shifted. His no BS techniques, proven in a life-threatening ICU ordeal, can help you conquer the confusion. We'll unpack why metabolic health's tanking, share simple hacks, and expose those industry hustles. Tune in to Kickstart Your Health scam-free. Hello, Robert. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hey, Joe, thanks for having me, man.
Is there anything that sort of stands out to you in your career that people should be aware of going on right beneath our noses?
Well, I think just globally, if you take a look at the statistics, Joe, it's like we have 96% of Americans that are metabolically unhealthy. So they're literally metabolically unhealthy. So that's like if you walked into a room of 100 people, 96 of them would be metabolically unhealthy. That's a lot. And you think about the fact that we spend, exponentially more money than any major country in the world, but we rank 37th in healthcare worldwide. We've got, 50% of adults and a lot of kids, I think 1 in 3 kids now with diabetes or pre-diabetes, the precursor to it, the insulin resistance. You've got 75% of Americans overweight and obese. I mean, the list goes on and on. Like 18% of kids now have fatty liver disease, which used to be like a late stage condition for, really intense alcoholics. Now it's in kids because of the ultra processed food and everything. So if we take a look at marketing, we are marketed all this. I mean, we're marketed really these modalities that literally are poisoning us over time. It doesn't happen right away. That's the thing about it. It's very subtle, and it happens over the years, and they're keeping us very much alive, but very much dependent on, the pharma, the ultra-processed foods. We're literally addicted to these ultra-processed foods. I mean, these foods are addictive. This is addictive behavior. Now the thing with RFK and his team and all this stuff, he's really marketed the fact that we are in the crapper nutritionally. We are being led by big pharma. We are being led by all these big machines, these marketing machines. So people that are, I think, paying attention are starting to wake up. But still, there's a lot of people out there that are they don't pay attention. They just go to the grocery store, they park the car, they go in, they walk their cart around, and they pick this and they pick that. They don't read labels. They don't think about nutrition. They have no idea. I have my signature, what I call my signature plate structure system. I actually teach people how to fill their plate. People have no idea how to do that. They just fill it with whatever they want in kind of a knee-jerk reaction. I think there is more awareness, but the machine of marketing since the early 60s, especially, and even the late 50s, has been so powerful generation by generation that it's going to take that 90% a while. I've always talked about the fact, I've been doing this over 40 years, and I've been in the media for 25 years. And I've always talked about the fact that there was always a communication gap between the entire wellness industry, the fitness industry, and the people that needed the help the most. It's a gap. I mean, it's a canyon. It's like you could take a dive in it and you could just fall forever. It's a huge canyon. And it's sort of like, there's my mission was always to kind of close that gap. And, I'm just one person and I've got a decent platform, but, I can't do it myself. But we have to, it's going to take some time for people to switch around. And right now, this marketing is pretty powerful. I think even to tap into some of these thought processes of people that are just on automatic. but it's going to take a lot more. It's going to take a lot more than just RFK going up on a news clip or on an Instagram clip and giving a report about dyes. We need to have a collective behavioral change in our society about all this, because ultra processed foods are not going away. They're not going away. They're always going to be here. The allure of the easy fix of big pharma and whatever. It's like, well, let's take a pill for it. Let's don't go exercise or take, some vitamins or maybe some natural modalities, baking soda or whatever it would be to fix some of these modalities, which can be fixed with natural modalities. I'm going to listen to the fact that, wow, my doctor, who's the top of the totem pole, says I can take a pill for this. And it's going to take a long time to get out of that. But there has to be a collective behavioral change in our society. If it always comes down to money. Bottom line, it always comes down to money. Let's take 2 days in America and we just boycotted processed food. What would that do to the market? It would completely change it, even 2 days. What if we could stretch that into 4 days? We drive the market as consumers because we're spending the money. So if grocery stores and convenience stores or everything, if people are going to buy this ultra processed stuff, then they're going to sell it. But if we don't buy it, they're going to find alternatives to get our business. So we drive the market. And I can't emphasize that enough, because all this stuff about dyes and processed food and farm and everything, if it's still consumed and if the money's still rolling in, it's not going to make a difference. It's not going to move the needle. We will move the needle with our wallet. That's how we move the needle.
I love that philosophy, because it's things out there, they don't realize it, or maybe some people like to be led, and there's partially that kind of mindset. Do you find when someone's just kind of starting out and they may not have the resources to go and get the HRV monitor and sleep on this mat, and I don't know what your belief system on those are, but do you find a difference when it comes to Whole Foods, shop the perimeter of the grocery store, however you want to put it?
I did many articles on drphil.com with the daytime version, because I was, on that show for all, 19, 20 seasons, and now I'm with Dr. Phil Primetime. They really got rid of a lot of the older stuff on the website that was living there for like 20 years. But one of the articles I wrote, this was literally 20 years ago, it was called Healthy Eating on a Budget. And that's the one article that they kept for the new website, for the new Dr. Phil Primetime website. And it was just a basic article about, talking about the illusion that it's so expensive and it's so intimidating to eat healthy. But these are the things that you need to do. I mean, you need to buy in bulk. Maybe you're not going to be able to shop at Whole Foods. You may have to shop at Costco. There's different ways to go. There's grocery stores. There's farm fresh food. There's things that you can make like stews and soups and things that last a long time. Casseroles that you can make in bulk and you can freeze. You can use glass containers, you can use Tupperwares, you can use saran wrap or foil. I mean, you have to think about cooking in bulk. I never think about, when I cook, I don't cook one meal. I cook like 4. There's the celebrities or the high-end folks out there that are marketing. Well, they've got their cold plunge, they've got their sauna, they've got their yoga studio, they've got their whatever. And it's marketed in a very intimidating way. Sometimes they don't know they're marketing, but like higher end folks with a lot of resources are marketing their lifestyle as if that's the way to do it. And usually, I think people need to take a lesson to the fact that that's more entertainment than it is really good advice for people. It's just, it's not realistic for most people. So we have to get back to basics. And that's what we did on Dr. Phil throughout the weight loss challenges, all the ones we did. It was real bare bones. We didn't go out and, I wasn't showing people cold plunges and yoga studios and well-lit studios. I was, showing people just, bare bones way how to stay healthy. And that's what I still do.
So for someone who's just kind of getting started and trying to make their way through this, like you said, all the marketing that happens, do you believe in starting with maybe like a blood panel?
Well, the first part of it is you've got to get it on your radar and you got to show up. Because most of wellness, the 90% of the people that stay out of the game because they've been intimidated or nobody talks to them, The first thing that people have to get is they have to elevate the entire concept of self-care up the priority list for their own personal life. It's easy. People are so desperate to find a quick fix, and they're also so desperate to run away from the fact that it actually takes work. And yeah, a blood panel is really, really good to look at, because at the end of the day, it's not about how somebody looks.
How about the emphasis you might or may not on a certain amount of sleep each night?
Here's the thing. I work from a model that I call the Big Four of life. Optimum exercise, optimum nutrition, proper rest, and stress management, and how these aspects of our life work both independently and synergistically to really create our outcomes. And one of the key components, if you don't have your rest, Joe, you're just not on your game. I can't work with somebody optimally. I can't get them the results that they deserve and that they really want unless they are willing to take a look at their sleep. And sleep wants to be shoved under the rug by everybody, because people, kind of a badge of honor. And it's sort of like, it's not a badge of honor. You're a human being. You need rest and recovery. And then if you're not well rested, how high is your fuse? Your stress management fuse is going to be down to here. It's going to be minimal. And if you're not rested, you got no fuse.
The thing with sleep too, and how it relates to stress. There's a lot of people who are walking around and maybe they feel like they're sleeping well, but they're stressed all day at work with kids, with their relationships, whatever life is throwing at them. We've been definitely in touch a lot lately. Obviously, big news going on in your life personally that's changed since we first connected,
Yes.
together. I read, your social media posts. You obviously you can tell the story better than me, but paralyzed in the ICU, but then you're like back in the gym days later. There's a lot, obviously a testament to like what you preach. But if you don't mind, breaking down what happened.
Well, like we were talking about off air, I've told this story to some people I work with, a lot of people, most people that I work with personally and privately. I have some corporate wellness accounts that I've done some presentations on with it. And I actually taped my own podcast. I taped it last Friday, and I'm planning on dropping it possibly this Friday, just to kind of tell the whole thing, because the whole thing is really what you got to hear. So I'll start from kind of the beginning, which is really not the beginning, but it was the beginning of the week. Now, as we tape this is probably about 3 weeks later. So this was Monday, August 7th. And I had a regular Monday. My standard Monday is training 11 to 12 people in a day. And then I will usually come home and just kind of relax and get ready for the next day, Tuesday morning, which is also an early and kind of equally as rigorous of a day, just with private clients and consultations. So Monday comes around and it's a regular day. I'm feeling pretty good. And actually with Monday, I trained 11 people that day. I then went grocery shopping because, Joe, I got to prep my environment for success. And I had no food, and especially with my protein. So, I went home really quick. I did a full shopping, 3 big bags, hauled them upstairs, put them away, did the whole thing. Then this was kind of unusual. I had to get this as a deadline. I had to pull, and you know how this goes, pull promo clips from my podcast to air that Friday to get them to my team, because I cut these little promo slivers of film and pieces for social media. So I had to get that done, make sure that was right. So it's about 9:20 p.m. by this point. A little bit later, and I tend to eat late sometimes. I love my meal, and I don't advise people to do this, but it's always been my reward at the end of the day, my meal. So I usually have a small meal at night. Well, I wasn't hungry, which was weird. I didn't think anything of it. So my wife had this lentil soup thing going on the stove, and I had about 7 bites just because I'm like, I got to get something about a full day. I got to get up at 4 the next morning, and it's already going to be like at least 10 before I get to bed. So I take the soup down and take my shower, and I am starting to go into these like kind of hot, cold, chill flu type things. And I virtually never get sick. I mean, I can count on this hand in over 40 years how many times I've had to call in sick. I just don't get sick. But boy, I had this thing. First it was cold. I put my sweatshirt on and my hoodie. Then it was hot. And it was like, man, something's going on. But then the real kicker was this like knifing abdominal pain. It was kind of like I equate it to like a burning sword that was going along basically from like just all the way through my center. And I could barely get in and out of the bed. I mean, it was that bad. I started texting my clients in the middle of the night. Obviously, I'm not going to make it Tuesday morning. And this is August 12th. I sleep in, I get up, I mess around a little bit. I go back, I take about another hour nap. I jump in my car and I go down to Williamson County Medical Center to the ER. I check in. I wait about an hour and a half. Just the service there and everything. The people there were really great from the get-go. I go into the examination room and they're checking me out, doing all my vitals and all the stuff that they do in ER. And I'm at this point losing the flu systems, but I am in just this rigorous pain still in my midsection. They wheel me down to get me a CAT scan. I come back from the CAT scan and the emergency surgeon is there in my room, right in my face. He says, "You are going in for emergency surgery right now. I'm available." And I'm like, well, God, this is the real thing. So I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? I mean, I have to have an appendectomy before this thing blows, and then it's big problems. So they suit me up, the gown, the IVs, the whole thing, the 9 yards. The anesthesiologist does his thing, and I am lights out. So I go in for surgery, and they give my wife a call in the late part of the afternoon. Nurse gives a call. Surgery's going great, blah, 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 blah. Great, 6.5 hours. I am on a ventilator. I am on a breathing tube, and I am not breathing. I am not moving. I am paralyzed. What had happened is they give you what is called a paralytic drug as part of the anesthesia for the surgery. This particular drug, and anybody know that because I've already had a conversation with somebody that already has this on his red flag list in his phone as a red flag anesthesia. Succinylcholine. Succinylcholine was what was given to me. And it paralyzes you for the surgery, so the surgeon could go in and do his thing, and then you either come out of it, or they can give you something, and I forget what it is that they give you. They give you something to come out of it. Well, I was responding to neither, which is why they marched me up to ICU right away. I'm out for about 12 to 13 hours total at this. I'm completely out of it. My first memory, Joe, was I look up at the clock. It's about 5 minutes till 3 a.m. and we're into Wednesday morning now. I'm heavily sedated. And I don't know if you've ever been in that state, but it is the weirdest thing. It's like you are aware, but you are like, you're aware, but you're out of it. It's a heightened awareness, but you're out of it. It's super hard to explain. I can't even, I have the visual, I have the feeling, but it's just the best way I can describe it. And meanwhile, they didn't have the staff once I came to, because about 9:30, I think it was a little bit after 9:30 p.m., I started moving my extremities and I started breathing on my own. They didn't have the staff to take the breathing tube out. So they left that in there overnight. I slept with the breathing tube, and I am strapped down like a psych patient because people take these out. They panic and they yank them out. And if you yank them out, you can completely destroy your vocal cords forever. So I am in that room and I hear the voices outside. I kind of see the light in the hallway there. So I know I'm in the hospital because I kind of remembered now going in. And I'm trying to breathe, and I'm actually trying to belch because I have it felt like I didn't have any air coming in. And about every fourth try, I'd get this little, and it was just so frustrating. But I'm so sedated, it's like, that's just the way it was. I had no way to describe it. Morning comes around, and of course in ICU, they are coming in. I have telemetry all over me. I've got blood pressure constantly marked, heart rate, oxygen, the whole thing. And I'm hearing this beeping. I'm hearing everything. I'm hearing the noise. Nurses are coming in and out. And I start to kind of come to reality and find out what's happened. Angel number 1 was my appendectomy surgeon. And angel number 2 was the head ICU doctor, who was just a brilliant and obviously very intuitive guy, and really caring guy, and really detailed guy. Because a lot of times you get in a situation like this, well, we need the room. Let's get this guy prepped and get him out of here, right? But how in the hell did this guy survive this? He was paralyzed for 6.5 hours and he's coming out of it and he's fine. Seems to be fine. So he went into investigative mode and he brought in angel number 3, I call her. And head ICU doctor had access to this particular woman, very seasoned, 44 years in medicine, endocrinologist, world class, does lectures all over the country, and barely takes any patients. He gets a hold of her, tells her about me and the situation, and she says, I want the case. Get me this, 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 this. So they started doing all these kind of out of the box labs. I remember one of them was they bring a tray in, and the vial is on ice. They take the blood, they put the vial back on the ice. They then put me in line for an MRI, for a brain MRI, which I finally got at like 9:30. This is Wednesday night, 9:30 p.m. Wheel me back to my room. I'm at step down ICU by this point because I'm off the ventilator. So I go to bed. I wake up, have a little breakfast, and about 9:45, endocrinologist comes in my room with her assistant. She comes walking around. She sits on the other side. Now, at this point, the smoke is clearing. I'm starting to realize what's happening. And quite honestly, Joe, I was like, I've worked my rear end off for over 40 years for this. I have my third book out. I have a hit podcast. I have 30 to 35 people. I got a great corporate wellness company. I've got great partners. I got a great family. I got a great life. And it's over. And that was really hard for me to accept, and I wasn't accepting at that point. And I was, quite honestly, for one of the first times in my life, I was just like really down, because I was like, okay, do I have to take another direction? What do I do? Where do I go? Here I am, Robert Reams, this guy that has made so many thousands and thousands of people healthy, people I will never even know. And I'm sitting here in ICU. And so she comes down and she starts to explain what's going on. And she says, look, you have a very rare condition. It's not so rare anymore. You have a very rare condition. And the condition is called hypopituitarism. So your master gland in your brain is your pituitary gland. That is like your master gland for your hormone, runs your hormonal system. And if you look at it, your master gland, if you're looking at like an electric grid, the pituitary gland is like the grid. And basically my grid was shut down. I had basically a non-functioning pituitary gland. And I probably had this. It probably led up to this for a couple months ahead of time, 3 months ahead of time. So when I went into surgery and your brain, your body is under trauma, your system is under trauma, basically I had one of the main hormones that was affected. They were all affected, but there were three main ones that were affected, and one of the main ones was cortisol. Joe, I had no cortisol. My cortisol levels had flatlined. So I talk about stress hormone, cortisol. I'm thinking like, wow, somebody's stressed out. You have too much cortisol, cause weight gain, and people get stressed out. You have your 4 stages of adrenal burnout. You have stage 1, high cortisol, stage 2, higher cortisol, stage 3, higher cortisol, stage 4, boom, you got no production. I didn't have stage 4. I have this condition in my pituitary gland. These conditions are now not so rare, as are other autoimmune issues, not so rare anymore, because they've all spiked because of COVID. Now, I had COVID January of 2020, barely affected me, but I did have it. And I also have a genetic predisposition on both sides of my family, my parents, for autoimmune issues. So it was a perfect storm. And I would have gotten this whether or not I worked my butt off like I do, or if I just sat on my rear end and did nothing. I was going to get this. And I started breaking down, man. I broke down in front of this lady. I just lost it. And I'm like, it's over, it's over, it's over. She says, no. She goes, quite the contrary. You'll be on a protocol that I have Navy SEALs, Iraq war vets, people that have gone through major PTSD. You will be on a protocol, and you would be on this protocol for the rest of your life, to give you an optimally functioning pituitary gland so that your hormones can get back in balance and you can do what you do. You'll probably feel better than you have in the past 10 years. And I was like, okay. And then she said, we talked about a couple of other things. We started talking, this lady was brilliant and is 68 years old, in medicine for 44 years. And she goes and lectures all over the country. And she says, a lot of these autoimmune cases and other cases are spiking because of COVID. And she says, I go and I speak at some of these seminars and these conventions, and some of the younger doctors will come up and they'll try to dispute me on it. She says, I just pull out the data and everybody shuts up. And the real kicker here, Joe, and the message for you listeners and everybody that I've told this story to so far and everybody that will hear it, is that my work, my life, the life I live, what I teach, what I do, everything I wrote in the book, everything I've ever done to put me in the physical and mental shape that I was in when my body went into battle, alive. And she said this is a quote: anybody else other than you or somebody that is in the physical and mental condition that you are in would have quietly fallen asleep and never woke up. So what I thought was over, and honestly, Joe, this is the first time I've told this story without getting a little emotional. My eyes are getting a little heavy. But I was, for what I thought was over, now has a whole new dimension. Because my work, what I represent, what I do, what I live, what I teach, saved my own life. And man, when she left that, and she told me, she says, you've got to do the protocol. You're going to be in my office in 10 days for your first checkup, and you'll be following up with me every 4 months. Well, I was in her office last Wednesday, which was about 5 days ago. It was a little bit longer than 10 days. It was closer to 2 weeks, 14 days. She took my, after a couple weeks on the protocol, she took my blood there right in the office and got me the lab results the next day, and my labs were quote unquote perfect. And I feel I've in the past 10, probably 15 years. Because Joe, what was happening is I was running on empty. I was running on empty. I was running on caffeine. I was running on sheer mental will. My book, Anti-Diet, The Paradigm Has Shifted, I wrote probably the last 3 months of that book with a non-functioning pituitary gland. I just powered through. And I was chalking it up to, because I did feel, I had a physical with my doctor like 3 weeks before, and there were some things going on in there, which he was having me address already. But this doctor really cut through and really they did everything. I would have never, it's like funny because I don't know if anybody else that would have gotten this thorough of an evaluation just with a basic physical. And at the very beginning of this was God marching me into the ER so that I could get this, because I would have never gone to the ER. I would have gone like, I need a couple days. I need a couple days off. I'm burnt out. Yeah, people get out, But I was way, way more than burnt out. So the message to your listeners out there is do the work. You've got to do the work, because these autoimmune issues are going to be coming up in the next 5, 10, 20 years for our kids too. And so your best battle plan and your best army against any of this stuff is your metabolic health and your function. And at the bottom of it all is metabolic health. And that's what kept me alive. So my body, when it was ready to go into battle, when it needed to go into battle, it was ready. And the message for your listeners is do the work now. Do the work now. Even though you're in your 20s and you think you got the world by the horn, do the work now, because there will. It's life. When your body does need to go into battle, you got to be ready. So that's the message.
It's quite a note. I mean, my goodness, someone listening, and you did mention, I don't care if you're 20, 30, 40, like whatever you are, you need to be focusing on metabolic health. And that's a huge takeaway from obviously what you just went through. What can the average person be doing right now? Because again, you talked about the 80s, right? You had maybe a precursor to what ultimately happened in 2020.
Well, I have a model that I work with basically everybody I work with, little kids, teenagers, young adults, all the way to elderly. And it's a model that I've always called, I call it the RR Big Four of life. Now, these four aspects of our life are part of all of our lives. That's why I chose them. And they're kind of, the big picture is the model. And then the more detailed version of it is plugging you, the individual, into the model. The big four of life is this: optimum exercise, physical fitness, optimum nutrition. That's the optimum fuel that you put into your body and the crap fuel that you keep out of your body, proper rest and recovery. Body needs recovery. We are when we exercise and we exert ourselves and we push ourselves, we're only as good as our recovery. And then the fourth aspect of that is kind of a culmination of the first three. It's stress management. So the first three kind of determine really number four and how well you do with number four. Now these aspects work independently and synergistically to kind of bring us not only to the best version of our health and optimizing our health and what I call feeling good, feeling great, being awesome about you. We're not born to sit for hours a day and do nothing. We're not born to lay around. We're born to move. We're moving machines. That's what we are. We got to learn how to chill and relax and enjoy life. So you can start there. And hey, order the anti-diet. The paradigm has shifted. Go to Amazon, get a Kindle copy or get a book copy, because everything in there not only has worked. I've been the head trainer and nutritionist on Dr. Phil for going now 23 seasons. I'm that fat kid from Elkhart, Indiana that's helped so many people get healthy. And now I saved my own life. I mean, if that isn't really proof enough to go, hey, this stuff, wow, I don't know what to tell you.
A lot of people, they get into these miracle fixes. Is that fair to say? Weight loss shot. Here's a superfood, and they're kind of throwing all these things at you. And yeah, obviously you have a great one-stop shop to right for people to begin with. But for people who are just trying to put it together, how do they sort of cut through that marketing noise?
Well, that's a huge question, Joe. And I've done two. In fact, my two highest rated our Live Wellness Unfiltered podcast episodes is about marketing. That's the title of the episode, marketing. The demise of health in our nation? Well, it doesn't have to be. And I have a pretty good platform, obviously, and so I'm going to be a representative of some of the people that I call working with people in the real world. Real people in the real world with real results. Because there's a lot of fake gurus out there. There's a lot of self-appointed gurus, and if your image and your presentation is sharp enough, you'll get people sucked in, and you can get sucked in doing the wrong thing. And either you're going to be spinning your wheels, or worse, it might be dangerous. But you're probably not going to get the results you want. And a lot of times, especially with exercise and things like that, and certain things, it's like there's injuries, and there's things, supplements and vitamins and protocols out there that are touted. Well, what if you have some sort of a medical issue with maybe a medication you're taking and something you take in that you saw on Instagram from somebody that says, my way is the best way. And not only is my way the best way, it's the only way. And you take this, I mean, it's a real jungle out there. So what I tell people is do your research. Be diligent about research and find out the source of the person or the entity that you're listening to and taking advice from. I wasn't holding back before, but I'm on kind of a crusade here, Joe. I'm involved with a thing. I won't mention what it is now, but I'll probably be elevated very, 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 very largely. Let's put it that way, in the coming months because of this project that I'm involved with. And you better believe that my message is going out, what you're hearing today, because people need to hear this. Want to be healthy. People want to feel good, and they will do anything, most anything, to do it. And so I want to get the truth out to people. Going back to the book, my app, whatever. Look, yeah, I got a 42-year track record, so I mean, who's going to beat that? Not too many people. There are people out there that do what I do at my level, but I like to say, because I've got the platform that I've got, I'm kind of the megaphone. But a lot of these people are out there just doing great work in their communities, and they're not going to be, you're not going to hear them like you are me, but they are in your community, and you got to seek them out. And the best word of mouth for marketing is somebody that has had something work that in your community, in your church, in your group, in your kids' school, or in your wherever you are, somebody, and find people that have got the same things going on as you and see what they do and follow them. So that's a good way to get marketing and get good, authentic information and modalities to put into your life to optimize your health.
Yeah, no, that's great advice, because I think people, it's the marketing that they can't really, decipher a lot of the times. And then I feel like the other side of the people I talk to, They don't understand, okay, I'm going to try this and try that, or I don't have the time, or the motivation factor.
Have them listen to what we just been talking about the last 40 minutes. Have them listen to your podcast. Because if that doesn't motivate you, I mean, it's like, look, I could just as easily, Joe, from the last time that you and I tried to do this and we had our technical difficulties, which is great because, knock on wood, we're running on pretty smooth here today. My life has changed because it hasn't. It's just everything that I do now is more enhanced. And if you listen to what I've gone through, and you got to remember too, I mean, I'm probably at least a generation older than you are, and maybe in 1 to 2 generations older than a lot of your listeners. And my body and my mind and my spirit was able to withstand all that and be paralyzed on a ventilator with a breathing tube for 6.5 hours and come out of it not only virtually unscathed, but I feel better literally than I have in the past 10, 15 years because I'm not running on empty. So that's, like I said, that's not enough, then I don't know where you're going to search.
Where would be the best place if you had to have someone start to connect with you personally? Like maybe they don't live where you live, but they want to, get your books, listen to your podcast. Like where would you push them to start?
Well, number one, the RR Live Wellness Unfiltered podcast. I mean, you can find that. You can find the audio versions on most of the podcast platforms. It's actually powered by Nashville Fit and Spread the Positive. I've got an Instagram account, and it's Real Robert Reams. So that's REAL, and then my name, ROBERTREAMES. I'm very active on Instagram. I post at least daily, sometimes twice. I have a fan page. First of all, Facebook is just my name, Robert Reams. Facebook, Robert Reams. I have a fan page that's called the Revive and Sustain Wellness with Robert Reams. So that's a fan page that's on there. It's quite active as well. I've got Twitter, Robert Reams, or X. I'm not too active on that, but I am present on there. A couple different things. We have our Revive and Sustain Wellness app. And if you we have a direct website where people can download the app. They can get a monthly subscription or they can pay for the year and get a discount. That's at www.reviveandsustain.com. And that'll take you all the way through the app, and you can see what that's all about. And you can download the app. And like I said, you can do monthly subscription or you can do the yearly. Now, that is where I kind of revolve my corporate wellness programs around the app. I have a team that we do corporate wellness programs. I've done corporate wellness for many, many years. And we have a really great program now that we do it around the app. So it's kind of apps like the daily thing. And then we have all kinds of really cool things like monthly presentations and recipes of the week and exercise of the week, workout of the month, all kinds of really cool stuff. And then what I really want to tell people about is this is probably the most condensed and easy way to really get to my work. I self-published a book, my 3rd book in June, and it's called Anti-Diet, The Paradigm Has Shifted. Anti-Diet, The Paradigm Has Shifted. You can go to Amazon and you can put that in and you can order that directly off of Amazon as well. Now there's a book and there's an ebook. And so you can download, if you like Kindle, some people prefer that. So you can get either or. I'm easy to find these days. If people Google my name, they can find most of this stuff. And I'm sure you probably post some of this stuff with the show page, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So these are all ways you can find me. And hey, I still work in the real world. So I work directly with individuals and groups as well. .com, you'll be able to reach me there. Or you can instant message me on Facebook, or you can instant message me on Instagram if you want to reach me directly. So I'm pretty accessible, Joe. I'm pretty easy to reach these days. But I really appreciate you, man. I mean, you're a really great host. Man, I hope your audience gives you kudos, man, because you're awesome. And I appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk about this stuff, because I think there's a reason for that, that we were able to share this level of a story on your show. Because, hey, I'm Dr. Phil's trainer. I've got this, national platform, and I'm the fat kid from Indiana that's helped people lose weight and get healthy. But now I've got this whole different dimension that, my own work actually saved my own life. So I mean, like I think we talked about earlier in the show, man, if that's not proof in the pudding, then what else do you need? So I'm really looking forward to the future. And again, I really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, it's been great to get to know you. I feel like we're old friends the amount of time we talked over the last
I
few
know,
months.
right?
I will link everything in the show notes, the direct link to the book for Amazon, as well as all your links, your podcast.
All right, Joe. Thank you, man, and I appreciate it. And hey, listen to your audience out there again. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks again, Robert.